BRUCAST is back, baby.
This BRUCAST episode is brought to you by the BRUCAST Store. Explore a store filled with awesome goodies from hoodies to t-shirts to mugs. We've got you covered. Stay in style with BRUCAST. Embrace the shock, set the trend. Visit now brew-cast.com/store. Link below.
Back with the fire, can't you see the flames? From Deutschland steps comes the BRUCAST name. Voices like thunder breaking all the chains. Unleash the fury like a runaway train.
Alright, hi everyone, welcome back to another BRUCAST episode. If it's your first time watching the show, make sure to like and subscribe. If you're listening to Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please rate the show 5 stars. This will ensure that the podcast recommends to even more people and allow me to keep doing what I love. BRUCAST also on Instagram, X, and TikTok, where I upload shorts with the highlights of the show. So follow now, BRUCAST on Instagram, X, and TikTok. Links in the description below.
Here we thrive, we survive!
Alright, hey there BRUCAST fans, welcome back to another BRUCAST episode. If you haven't subscribed yet, please make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Yes, leave a comment. I want to read all of your comments. I want to know what you think about the show, what you thought about today's episode. So your interaction is very, very valuable to me. So again, guys, comment, like, and subscribe. Oh, I forgot to set up one thing, guys. 1 second. I need to add our guest into our software. 3, 2, 1. There we go. Welcome, Lyubim. How are you doing?
How are you? Doing well.
Well, thank you so much for being here. I normally don't do episodes on Saturday, but I was like, you know what? This guy's worth it. This story is worth it. I want to hear what you've been up to more recently. We talk about the 3 topics that I want to cover with you. But the first one, what about we start with 9/11? So you're a 9/11 survivor.
Mm-hmm.
Walk us through that day. How was that?
I think, we should put it a little bit more in the context, just I think walking into a day, I don't think it would make much sense, but
Give us the context. Yeah.
I would say we back up to 1992. I was 17, and one day my dad came home and he said, "We're moving to the United States tonight, and we're not coming back." So, at 17, I realized I was a skier, I was a ski jumper. I really wanted to go to the Olympics, and I didn't need a few hours to pack up. I just needed a few minutes because I took my bag, I took my ski suit, ski boots, a helmet, and I wore my training suit and my running shoes. And we got in the car in the middle of the night and drove off north towards Moscow, and halfway my dad got off in Minsk. It's just, if you look right now it's where the war is going, but basically he was straight north, and they drove to Moscow, and I had to pick him up at the airport, and I almost got hit while I was being chased around Moscow city, and it was just a knowledge of Exactly. It was the knowledge of the car that was chasing me that got me away. And basically, at 17, I came to the United States, and I asked my uncle to write letters to ski schools. He lived in New Jersey. He came a few years earlier. And I said, "Uncle Zach, I want to ski. Can you please write letters to ski schools?" And the National Sports Academy at Lake Placid, they invited me for an interview, and they gave me a scholarship so I could live there. I could learn English, which I didn't know, and I could repeat the final grade, the 12th grade, and most importantly, I could ski as much as I wanted to. And it's basically happened on the Halloween. We drove on the Halloween, so it was just exactly 92. 33 years ago. Yeah, it was quite a while ago. And I also, after going to the National Sports Academy in Lake Placid and learning English, a few years later, I transferred to New York University in New York City, and I realized that I'm going to school right now, and I'm 300 miles away, the same 300 miles that my uncle drove me a few years before on Halloween. And, I decided that I'm going to figure out how I'm going to make it happen. And for almost 3 years, I had a commute of 600 miles or 1,000 kilometers round trip every weekend so I could ski jump. Because I knew that if I stop, then my chance is zero. I knew my chances were close to zero if I kept going. Excuse me. But if I stopped, my chances would be absolutely zero. And I did that commute, and I got fortunate to go to the Olympics while I was still at NYU.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I am the first Winter Olympian who was a full-time student at New York University Stern School of Business.
How old were you at the time?
22.
22. Wow.
Yeah. And then at 23, I qualified for the Nagano Olympics. I was just, I guess I was rewarded for all those years of commuting and going to school at the same time. But one thing that I wanted to share with you and with your listeners, that there are two things that can help you to reach any goal that you set off.
Mm-hmm.
And in this example, it was like I decided that I'm going to the Olympics many, many years before. And it was an unconditional decision that in my mind was, I am willing to do whatever it takes. When you are a professional skier, you spend a lot of time in the hospitals and staring at the ceiling, and there's nobody around because it's part of the nature of the sport. And, it was a really fortunate thing that I could make it the year I could make it, because if I didn't, then I would try for another 4 and another 4. And I would just kept going. But I got lucky on the first try, and I'm really thankful that, that happened. So I come back from the Olympics, and I started for working for a trading company, and we were 2 buildings from the New York Stock Exchange. So, what they show on TV, those columns, it's actually Broad Street, because the original building of the New York Stock Exchange, it was on Broad Street. I think it was like 12 or something. But then they built around the corner, and it became Wall Street. And our offices were, I think it was 50 Broad Street, which is 2 buildings from the New York Stock Exchange. And it was just like, oh, I just graduated from NYU, and I'm working right next to the New York Stock Exchange. But one of the things that I think that was impressive in my mind was that, like, if you think about the Statue of Liberty, right, it represents freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And if you turn your back and look north across the Hudson River, and you could see the World Trade Center. And that to me, it represented opportunity. And just like symbolically, it was a dream to work in the World Trade Center. So a few months after I started working, a group of traders, they decided to break away and join another company. And they said, Lyubim, we are going to see our office space in the World Trade Center. Do you want to come? I was like, yes, of course I want to come. And we go through this lobby. There is like a metal detectors, but you could go through the turns aisle, and you go in this huge elevator that is just like, it's humongous, and it goes super fast. And in the World Trade Center, it had like a really complex system of elevators. They didn't go up and down. They used to go up, down, sideways to a certain level, and then you had to get off and walk and take an escalator and another set of elevators. So it was really advanced and complex. So imagine.
Sideways elevator? What do you mean? Is that real?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
It was really, really complex. But what I'm saying is that if you go like later on, I'll get to that point. And basically, we are in this huge lobby. We get in this huge elevator. We walk into this office that has these floor to ceiling windows. They're just looking west side at the Hudson River, and New Jersey is on the other side. And if you look like left and down, you can see in that direction the Statue of Liberty on the Staten Island. And if you think about the New York is like Manhattan is like a pizza. It's like this. If you go from north, it's really wide, and if you go south, it's really narrow. In that narrow spot at the very end, that's where the World Trade Center used to be, or the Twin Towers. And imagine it's like such a huge concentration population of people in one little area, and specifically like in the World Trade Center in the Twin Towers. So we're sitting, I'm looking in these windows, I am completely blown away. I'm like mesmerized, you know, it was magic. And then they say, so what do you think, Lyubim? And I say, okay, I'm coming here with you. And they're like, they laugh at me and they say, dude, we didn't even tell you what the terms are. I'm like, I'm working here, whatever, I will pay to work here. So, you know, it was a really dream come true. And then I have a really good friend from New York University. We met in an advanced managerial accounting class, and we became really good friends. We studied for the CPA exam, which is a 9 months preparation course, and it's one of the most, you know, difficult exams. It goes over 2 days. There are 4 different parts, and because we were going full time to school, and me first training for the Olympics, and then, you know, valet parking cars at the River Cafe, which was on the other side of the Brooklyn Bridge, looking at the Twin Towers, you know, day and night. You just park cars, I would park cars, and then would just look at the buildings. And, you know, I always knew that I'm going to work up there. And now I get a chance to come and work in the building. And my friend was working across the Hudson River in a World Financial Center. It's basically, there is a walkway that used to connect the Twin Towers or the financial centers. You go over the highway, you didn't need to get on the road, you go, and then there is a financial center, and they're right on the water. But because he was working for an accounting firm, you know, they worked really long hours, and we met with him on September 10th, and he had to work really late, and we had pizza, we had beer, and the next morning, you know, I remember it was a really sunny, beautiful day, and I have this personality that if I see a bus and it's like going away, I had to chase it, and sometimes if I didn't catch it at the first stop, I would run for the next stop. And I just came back from the Olympics. I still have that energy, and you know, I'm sitting in the office all day, so I burned it by chasing buses. And anyways, that day was the first time in my life where I saw my bus going, and I was like, I don't want to run. And it was so memorable because it was the first time. And I'm looking at it going, and I just let it go. And I waited for the next one. And New York City has a subway system where you can ride from any point. Like I was coming from the Bronx, which is the north side of New York, and I could take one train to another train and never come outside, and just go take. There's a World Trade Center stop for the subway, and I could take an escalator to an elevator, and I'm in my office, so I don't need to go outside. But on that day, I just needed to get a bagel. And I remember going outside, and I get off, it was Chambers, which is one long building away from where the Twin Towers were. And I see people already standing and looking up in the air. And somebody saying a bomb, somebody saying a plane, you know, there was no clear consensus, but like I look up north and I see these lights and sirens, man, they're coming at 100 miles an hour. And we have like one building, and you could not know that something major was going on. Like to me, from down below, it looked like it burned overnight, and it was the end of it, not the beginning, because I was standing on the north side of the north tower, which was hit from the south side. So, the plane came from another side and they already hit. So there was nothing on that side. And then I walk across to Starbucks because they didn't charge my phone. I wanted to get a coffee and charge my phone. And I see the girl is crying at the cash register. And I'm like, she is really hysterical. And I'm thinking, like, what's going on? And then the second plane flies into the South Tower. And you see people, well, first of all, the vibration from the impact, you could feel it like a building away, man. It was like
an earthquake.
Yeah, like an earthquake. And I live in Turkey. We had that really tragic earthquake a few years. We are far away, but we felt it. It just sways the building and things fall over. But it was shaky. It's all concrete. It's all concrete, and you're like, and you know, I walked outside of the Starbucks, and it was the end of the fireball that went back inside. And what the interesting thing was that people were like running away. Well, first of all, you see all the firemen that just they're like these few guys that just like going against the crowd. But then suddenly the whole crowd, like everybody stops, people like turn around, and everybody starts walking back, just looking up at what's going on, because after the impact, there's nothing down below. And I was thinking that in the 90s there was an attempt, but it didn't work out. They weren't able to detonate all the vans that they've driven underneath the South Tower. And I thought that this time, because there was more than one, right? At that moment, nobody knew what was going on. I felt like, what if it's all over the place? And I went to New York University, and New York University was second largest property holder in Manhattan after the Catholic Church. I'm saying that to give you an idea of how many buildings our school had and has in New York City. And if you look at the undergraduate Stern School of Business building, it's like 9 stories, but all those 9 stories, 0 classrooms. It's all faculty, research, assistants, and all the classes were down below in the basement. So you go 2 or 3 levels down. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm going north, I'm going to NYU, I'm going down. There are vending machines, there are payphones, there is security, and we are in the bunker, we're down below. And I stood for a little bit because, I just had to see, you just couldn't just like walk away, you have to go, but you cannot leave. It's a strange thing that you cannot.
I don't think that's strange, whenever there's an accident and people are driving by, they always stop to look. There's something mesmerizing about accidents and horror. I don't know why, but humans do that all the time.
So I went north, I went north to NYU, and all the cell phones were not working. And I walked up to a payphone, and they showed my World Trade Center ID. Everybody said, oh, and I called home, and they said, look, something happened in the World Trade Center. Something happened in my building. I am not there, and I am walking north. And please call our friends. We had friends, Paul and Susan, who lived in Manhattan up on the upper north side. And Paul worked for Reuters, which is, one of the biggest news agencies in the world. And then they just opened the big building in Manhattan. in Times Square. Yeah. So, if you look for one in Reuters building, Times Square, New York City, and I said, please call them. I'm walking away. I don't know what happened. I'm just going north. And later, I found out, actually, I got through to Paul, who was working in that building, and he says, Lyubim, oh my God, he told me that, they used to have squawk box, like news agencies have squawk box with trading desks.
Squad
And they had
box?
it's a direct line of communication. So if you and I, we need to talk about something private, something really fast, on Wall Street, you have a squawk box, meaning that Reuters, the news agency, has a direct link to Cantor Fitzgerald, who is the governmental bond dealer or the biggest one, and they need to have that information because they're responsible for maintaining order in the bond market. They have a huge responsibility, so they have a direct line of communication. And he says, Lyubim, where are you? I said, I'm walking to your home. Can you please call your wife and tell her to wait for me? And he says, they called the squawk box and they said that, he said, guys, it was Cantor Fitzgerald. They said that, he said, how are you doing? And they said, we're fucking dying in here. And that was the last thing that they said. So they are above us. We were on 83rd floor. I think they started like at 100 or 90, just same tower. And I could not find anybody from our office. It was a really out of body experience day. I just kept going north. I went to NYU, and then I found that our friends is waiting for me up north. And I remember walking out, and there was one cab. Man, I don't know where he came from. And if we go back again to the pizza pie, I am around West 4th Street, which is like at the end, where NYU is. If you watch romantic movies about New York, you see that white arc and a little square around it. That's Washington Square Park, and that's where NYU is. It's West 4th Street, and I needed to go to like 120, which is quite a way. And this is one cab, and I walk up, and again, I pull out my World Trade Center ID, and I said, look, I got to get out of here. I just got to get to my friend's place. And I got one seat in that cabin. He brought me up north, and at 7 o'clock, I found my best friend who talked to the owner of the company. And basically, he said that when our tower got hit, we had traders inside of our building, and well, in our office. And tech guy, he comes in really early, he has to set up all the computers. And then traders come in, depending on how much research and preparation they do. Everybody's different. Like Chinese work a lot, and the first ones in, they're like 4 o'clock in the morning, the whole team is in there working because, they're used to working 24 hours a day. And so outside of the tech guy, we had another guy who was visiting. He wasn't even supposed to be there. He was our owner's friend's trainee, and they ran out of space on the other side, as I told you, in the World Financial Center across the bridge. So they sent this guy to our office for training, and he goes to the bathroom. And in order to go to the bathroom where we were, I had to walk down hallway, turn, down, walk this little hallway, turn, and I would walk around to the other side of the building. And this guy who is a guest, he goes in, or let's call him trainee, he goes into the bathroom. He opens the bathroom when the plane hit the building, and he gets hit with the fire that went from the ventilator shafts. And when something happened inside of the World Trade Center, the Port Authority is the managing authority of the building. They come on the intercom TV, they turn everything off, and they say, look, something happened, just stay put, we're investigating. because they have to make sure that it's safe. It's, sometimes it's better not to do anything than run into 100% probability of disaster. So they say, stay put, don't move. So meanwhile, after that announcement, this trainee runs in and he says, there was a bomb in the bathroom, because he thought it was a bomb. He opens the door, he gets blown out. He says, there's a bomb in the bathroom. There was a bomb in the bathroom.
I mean, from his perspective, makes sense. Yeah.
And our tech guy says, okay, everybody get your stuff. We are going. Because from the 83rd floor, and Brooke, you and I, we're not very big guys. I mean, maybe you are. I'm not. We would not fit into the stairs of the World Trade Center, you and I. It was so narrow. So they pick up the trainee who's burned, and they start carrying, they all get out of the office and they start carrying this guy down the stairs. They're going down the stairs, they're saying they get to like floor number 30, and there's a bottleneck, and everybody's like, fire alarm. We don't want to go down. This is bullshit, They're just, and these guys know that this is for real. So they said they pick up the guy, and they said they were walking on heads of people that were complaining that they don't want to go down because it's a fire drill. I kid you not. So they get down, they get to the main level, and the police and the firemen are like, yeah, everybody out. And that was when the South Tower was collapsing, because it got hit second, but it got hit lower, and it came down before the North, which got hit higher. So they get to the lobby, and they said that the police and firemen, they're pushing them out, and they said they run out and they see an ambulance, and they said they crawl under the ambulance, and the building comes down on top of them.
Oh my God.
Which was the south side. So they said when the thing stopped, they were those ghosts walking across one of the bridges, but they all got out and they carried that guy out. And that guy later ended up on Oprah telling the whole story. He shows up for 2 days, okay? And he goes on Oprah to tell the story. It's the most wild, how things turn out. So I think this is a good spot to pause. Did I answer your question?
Oh, hell yeah, man. That's, yes, you did. That was quite descriptive. It was, I'm out of words. I mean, just to think of how many lives were lost that day. And the fire thing, they were, the wolf story, when you cry wolf several times and no one's believe you, is like those fire trainings, they are teaching us that,
if you think, there is another part of this whole thing. Like, there were 347 firemen that died in the World Trade Center. And they are the guys that went up those stairs with all the hoses, with all the gear, with the oxygen, with access, with all. So, like, yeah, it's one thing when you're going down, but it's a totally other thing when you're going up. And they all did. Those guys are awesome.
They're heroes.
Well, they are amazing. They're really amazing. And in terms of bravery, it's a totally different planet. They are really special. And I'm always grateful for what they do. They really risk their life, and that day, unfortunately, so many didn't come back. But we promised that we're going to remember. So thank you for bringing it up. And let's say I told that story for them.
Bless them. Bless their souls.
And New York, yeah.
I've been to the memorial, the World Trade Center memorial, and they have all.
Amazing, huh?
It's amazing. It's very impactful. They have all the names in there. It's like, gosh, this is a lot of people. This is a lot of people.
I think what happens, like everybody, that day meant different things to different people. But the next day, when I went to the West Side Highway and saw, the smoke that was carrying across towards New Jersey, I knew that I'm done here, like I'm finished with New York. There's nothing for me, that I have to go. And as soon as the roads opened up, I left New York City, and I never went back.
To this day,
I never went back until last year. No. Is it okay if I mention what I do right now?
I think maybe we could go to the quick sponsor break and then we'll be right back.
Yeah, let's do that. That would be great.
All right.
Thank you.
See we see each other in a few seconds. Parents, have you been searching for an app that's both fun and educational for your kids? I've got something exciting to share with you today. It's called FunTastic Plus. FunTastic Plus is a free app where education meets entertainment, designed specially for children ages 2 to 12. It's built by experts, completely ad-free and totally safe, so you can feel confident handing your phone or tablet to your little ones. Inside the app, kids will find a world of engaging content, their favorite cartoons, audiobooks and songs to spark imagination, educational games that make learning fun, and all of that to keep them entertained while supporting their development. FunTastic Plus is available on iPhones and iPads and even works offline, so whether you are on a road trip, flying, or just at home, your kids will always have something to enjoy. So if you're ready to give your kids a space that's both fun and educational, download now FunTastic Plus for free on the App Store. FunTastic Plus is a safe and ad-free educational platform for kids. Link on the description below. And we're back, everyone. Don't forget to check FunTastic Plus. It's an amazing app. Lyubim, we're back, my friend.
Hi, Drew. Hello again.
Before we move into what you're doing right now, I do have two more questions regarding 9/11. Is that okay?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so you mentioned those firemen going up. I assume they went up because they could not foresee that the whole thing was coming down, of course. How long did it take before the first hit until it all starts coming down and crumbling down? Just it looks
I
like
think it's better to Google it, but I would say, again, South Tower got hit second and it came down faster. I walked all the way to the Washington Square Park, so I would say it would have taken about 1 hour.
1 hour to all come down. Okay.
1 hour, 30 minutes. Let's just, how many minutes it took for World Trade Center towers to come down?
Mm. That's a lot. Like in my mind, it was just a few minutes, so I was questioning myself why they were going.
No. North Tower was maybe close to 2 hours, definitely.
How many minutes until World come down? Let's see if Google says anything. The South Tower collapsed 56 minutes after being struck by Flight 175 at 9:59 a.m. The North collapsed 1 hour and 42 minutes. Gosh, that's a lot. I had no idea. I thought it was like just a few minutes because I see those videos on the internet. It's like they cut it, right?
Look, it was that, to walk down from the 83rd floor, it took quite a long time. And when they carried somebody on their arms, it took a lot more. So it took 1 hour and 42 minutes. And again, you can imagine, like that's when every minute counts when they come outside and they have to crawl under an ambulance when the South Tower came down. So if they hesitated for a few minutes, they would be still in the lobby and you don't know. But what they made, there was, this is the amazing thing about that day, that there's so many people that were just late. Like half of our office was late. And Howard Lutnick, who was the CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald, the company that lost the most traders, I think they lost more than 600 traders on that one day. He was taking his son to the first day of school or kindergarten, one of those family events, but his brother was at work and he died. So it was just such an unusual day. And after I left New York, they closed the roads for a little bit. And after I left New York, I did not go back until this winter. And I ended up there by mistake. I took the wrong train from New Jersey side. And I ended up in, I hear, last stop World Trade Center. And I was like, okay, I know why I'm here. And I also went and I got to see the memorial of what was, what is left and what they made out of it, because for 24 years I couldn't go. I just, I just never did. And this time it actually was, I found it amazing, how all the names are there. And then it puts things into perspective, like you really, I personally think and hope that the 24 years that I was given extra, I used every second of it because I'm aware, man, like I just saw a confirmation on the stone, but like I knew every single day, every single moment that this is extra.
Mm.
And I never stopped because I don't know when the end is. And I really, I really, I'm like an execution machine with the consciousness. That's what my friends say. What I'm sharing with whoever's listening is that, you got to decide what you want and you just keep going, just one step at a time. Don't get overwhelmed. Just take one next step, whatever. It's probably the thing that you want to do the least, but it has to get you close to your goal. And you just like, the longer you do that one step, then you'll see people are dropping off left and right. And you'll be like, I'm just doing one step. I'm not even, overwhelmed in my mind.
Build was
So
not Rome was not built in one day, right? Yeah. Lyubim, I have one more question regarding 9/11. Is that I recently watched this documentary from Tucker Carlson where he makes the claim based on several evidences that it was a planned demolition. What's your take on that? I mean, that's
I,
not, he's not
pers-
the only one. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I personally, like I watched a few of his interviews and like he takes this position of like, oh yeah, like you're an expert, tell me. I don't know anything. You're an expert, tell me. And he has this huge following. So um, he's a news reporter who has to generate interest and find different angles to like stimulate us to watch. And I think it's a show,
Hmm.
we have to understand that it's a show. Like somebody is acting to entertain us or to make us react in a certain way, and everybody reacts in a certain way. And I think like anything he says is it's a show, it's not the truth. He's an let's say investigative reporter, whatever he may be. And he is finding topics that are really interesting to us, and like here's what we know. Can we talk about what we know?
Of course.
We know that we went to Afghanistan for 20 years, and people, or especially women of Afghanistan, really believed us. And they took off these covers, that they had to wear when it was Taliban. They took them off and they went to the universities. They become doctors, they became engineers, they became moms who had kids who were going to school. So like it became an open society. And then like 20 years down the road, suddenly in one day, uh, we leave. Like we drop everything, all our equipment, Humvees, machine guns, supplies, everything, man, that was there for war. We pack up the planes and we just bye-bye, we go bye-bye. And now what happened to, well, let's talk about what we know. There is $1 trillion that is not accounted for in that war. Nobody knows where the money went. 1 trillion in 20 years. That is the reality. You can look. It's in governmental reports. It's official information. You just need to Google and pull it first source yourself, so you know if it's there or not. Okay, so we're like missing $1 trillion. We went to find Saddam Hussein, and he wasn't there. Or well, pardon, he was there, but the weapons of nuclear destruction, they were not there. There's nothing there, and like 300,000 people are dead. And we have thousands of American soldiers who have like PTSD for the rest of their life. You know, they got messed up. Combat uh, veterans are really traumatized. So, Like, but where's $1 trillion? Nobody knows. And you can build any theories on top of that. This is just the part that I say, look, I know, I can share it with you, and you can check this on the internet from the official governmental source, not a conspiracy theory or not some kind of show, whatever the name you mentioned when we started.
Yes, that's a fact.
Bruce, did I answer your question?
I mean, I'm still confused how the missing budget relates to if 9/11 was a planned destruction or
No,
not.
you're asking me. You asked me. Tucker Carlson said that there was a planned destruction.
Well, let's leave Tucker.
And I say maybe it was, maybe it was not. I don't know.
You don't.
So
Okay.
I switched the topic to what I know. I know a fact that after 9/11 happened and the buildings went down, there's $1 trillion in the budget that is not accounted for. Okay, that's and the other part. No, we knew that there were 2 planes that flew into the buildings. You know, there were people on board. There were recordings to their families, to their loved ones, to there were pregnant women. Everybody was affected, and there were real phone calls and conversations. And I think to make a show out of it is really not appropriate. So that is my answer. To Tucker Carlson. This is not a show. This is a really sensitive area. All the people who worked in the World Trade Center, they got really affected to play with that. It's not cool,
I see. I got your point. I maybe
saying there were no people on the plane that died in 9/11. How can you? I just cannot even. It's hard to say that thing. Do you know what I mean? It feels so wrong because I know that they were on those planes because I heard the conversations, their last conversations when they called their families. So I know that there were 2 planes that flew in the World Trade Center, and that's what happened.
All right, Lyubim, let's change topics. Let's go into what you've been up to more recently. You started the Wings for Heroes organizations, as we can see in your T-shirt. How this came about?
Oh, thank you very much, Ru. I've done a lot of things in my life, and the reason I kind of told you the longer story because I kind of hope we're gonna. Well, he told me that one of the topics is talking about Wings for Heroes, so I wanted to be like, everything needs a context, right? I lived in 5 different countries. That's when you are doing different things, and when you want to accomplish big things. If your goal takes you across the border, you gotta go. We're talking about what lessons. Lessons is that you have to go, that today is the kind of world that, well, when I was, establishing my business and growing my career, I went to different places. And one of the important things or chapters in my life was I got to co-author a bestseller with Steve Forbes in 2014. And then in 2015, I got to speak with my mentor from 2013. So it was like 12 years, Brian Tracy at the United Nations headquarters in New York City. And, I was 39 then. And I thought like, the 20 years of hard work, I'm finally going to, monetize on, yes, that's him, monetize, on my hard work and sacrifice. And instead of doing that, I'll send you one with us together. So you should have told me before that there will be a slideshow, because for the slideshow I would come better prepared.
Oh, but this is just for me. I'm not sharing this with the audience right now. The screen share is just for both of us. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. So, it was a big deal because I started in 2003. I was hired by American Express Financial Advisors, and one of his Brian Tracy's salespeople. We're talking about 2003, so it's just he came to sell tickets to Brian Tracy's training. That was like 2 days or 3 days later in Denver, and this guy was so amazing. Like when I saw how he commanded the room, I was like, my jaw dropped, and it was unbelievable. I walked with him. I said, "How did you do this? Like, how could you command the room like this?" And he's like, "I learned it all from Brian Tracy. You can come for training." And we go downstairs, and and there's a black BMW pulls up, and there's a chauffeur who comes out and opens the door for him. Now, it's 2003 Denver, Colorado. It's not like, you know, it's not now you see people and chauffeurs more often than you saw them, 22 years ago. It was really wow. So I bought all of his courses and I went to his trainings, and I got finally to share a stage with him. And then I ended up, going to Ukraine. And, the war in Ukraine started in 2014 with the annexation of Crimea. And in 2015, I went back as an American to save, or I took over a failing nationwide infrastructure company in Ukraine. And, I was responsible for 92 gas stations. And when I came, the situation was so bad that like some gas stations were running out of diesel, and there was nothing in stores, man. Like you walk in the store, they had this one like brand of cookies, and they had so many of them that they like could build Christmas trees, and it was bizarre. But when the war happened, what happened? Nobody knew at the beginning what's going to be next, and it was total like deer in the headlights. Like the Europe, United States, nobody reacted, nobody did anything, and Ukraine fell into at that time. The war was isolated to the east part, but financially we felt it. Like they couldn't pay for their electricity, because they were losing so much business so quickly that a big company that has a big infrastructure, you cannot, you cannot close gas stations. Good gas stations, they're always open. That's like rule number one. So, they asked me if I could stay on. Excuse me, if I could stay on until we get to the point of where the company is profitable, and they mainly when they write off this debt that they took in the US dollars before the war started, and now it was like 1 to 9 before the war, and then there was like a few weeks later it was 1 to 30, so it multiplied. I know Bill Clinton said that we have always have issues with arithmetics, but basically the money got by 3 times by three. It tripled. What the cost of dollar tripled in just like a few weeks. So they couldn't, and their debt was in the US dollar. So they were selling less, converting less, and constantly draining this cash, with every liter that they sold. But you cannot stop, because if you stop gas stations, you are done. It's really expensive to restart them, just astronomical. So, I stayed on, and we're talking 2015, and then in 2019 in the summer we turned profitable, and all we needed just time, just time to make up for all the minus that we like chronically had it. I mean, man, that work was just really a huge challenge of all the things that I've done in my life to survive in the wartime in Ukraine, running a big company when like you're responsible for like 2,000 paychecks. Uh, and you know what? One paycheck gets canceled first.
Yes.
I kid you not, because I am at the top of the company, so my salary is the biggest one. But I understand if I take my salary, then we can buy less gasoline. If we buy less gasoline, then we're selling, then we're making less. And it's all this chain that comes back to like, okay, man, you're gonna suck it up. Okay? Just keep going, we're gonna get through, it's gonna get better. And then, after turning profitable in 2009, last April, we had 9 Russian drones that flew in and bombed our key asset. And basically, because it's active war, nothing is covered with insurance. We had 1.3 million liters of diesel that burned up overnight, and it destroyed all infrastructure. We had like a railroad, we had a customs area, and all tanker trucks, like those little tanker trucks that carry gasoline and diesel between point A to the gas stations. Like they're really important. They're the
Mm-hmm.
last ones that deliver it to consumer, and they blew them all up, man. Like
Where?
I painted them. I painted them, and then they just turned these Mercedes and Volvo machines with tank in the back into ashes and just like melted metal. There was no rubber, nothing. They just 9 drones just boom, boom, and then I had a choice. I had a choice if I concentrate on the business and or I do what I was meant to be
Before
here for.
we go into that,
Yeah.
may I ask, were you at the time of the attack?
Mm-mm.
You're not there.
No,
Okay.
we're a nationwide company, and the key asset it was like on the way to Kiev, where my base I was always on the west side, 40 kilometers from Hungarian and Slovakian border. We had a concentration, like, when you come into, let's say, you're looking at a company that is bleeding cash, they're in crisis. So you have to really quickly assess the whole situation. If you have the ones that are getting F, forget about those. You cannot do anything. But those who are like, B minus, C plus, those guys can be an A, and you get those, and you basically start managing. And in my case, it was geographically on the west side, the majority of gas stations, plus the business, because it's all trucks that are coming across the border. So I was geographically on the other side. The only rocket that it hit Flex, Flextronics?
Not
It's
really.
an American company. They do some components for Flextronics. Flex,
Mm-hmm.
not FLXX. Flex, FLEX Tronics.
Tronics. Ah, okay.
Yeah, that company is Flextronics.
Okay.
So they're an American company, and they have their factory used to be behind our base,
Mm-hmm.
and the rocket hit maybe they were like half a mile behind. That's 1 mile. So that was close. But with being in Ukraine, there was nothing to do for me to do in Ukraine after the war started. You basically, the U.S. embassy told you to get out, and you know I got out. I can manage things that I can manage across because I built teams. One of the things that I spent a lot of time finding people that really care. Again, if you're looking at a company, like people who really care, who would work just for it to be well. And it's really hard to recognize those people unless you are like me. I knew all of my employees. I knew cleaning ladies at my gas stations. I knew all the people who worked for me, and they made it a point. When we had Christmas party, it was open Christmas party, so all the female employees that wanted to dance, I would be there all night. Not going off the floor. And to them, it was like, this dude came from the United States. He's running the company. We can dance with him. They had the best time, and that's how I really, in that, in the moment of darkness, hopelessness, I just kept creating these parties. Like I would say, okay, if you guys can make it here, anybody who can come, you're welcome to come, but you just got to find your way to make it. So we had people from the other part of the Ukraine to tell you, like, it was like 1,000 miles. They're coming just for everybody would show up. We'd have a great time. It was like one big family. That's what I was doing. I wanted to feel everybody included. I wanted them to feel like I am going to take care of you. Come on, just relax. I know what to do. In reality, I I just came from the United States. Yes, I was really successful. 2008, 2009 financial crisis. None of my clients, none of my accounts lost, had net losses.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I really always studied, the fundamentals. I really cared about what was going on, how it was working. And Ukraine was the big challenge. And it was basically surviving one day after another day. And one day we were at one of our gas stations. It's by our biggest gas stations by highway. And I see this guy without two legs. He's like in a wheelchair. he's rolling out towards the highway. And I'm thinking, dude, you cannot walk there. Forget about the wheelchair. But I get carried away and I'm looking at the stuff. And then I hear this thunderstorm. And I'm like, oh. So I called the garage and I said, look, I really need a pickup truck right now. And, when you're running an infrastructure company, you have pickup trucks. And if you need something, they come right away and they get in the car and we go in the direction of the guy. And imagine, I told you that we're 40 kilometers from the border with Slovakia and Hungary. Imagine the traffic of the pickup trucks on the highway. I mean, not pickups, but big rigs. I mean, they're going one after another all day. They're not stopping. So we find this guy on the side of the road. He is all wet. He's all dirty. I mean, he is all messed up. And we're like, okay, dude, let's go. We put his wheelchair in the back of the truck. We put the guy inside. And I mean, he was in such bad shape. He was inside. It's like a ghost, in this like old, dirty, wet uniform that is like sagging because he lost so much weight. So we go, we get him cigarettes, we get him some food. It's like, dude, see you later. And I was like, I got to do something about this. This is going on like this. Like in the States, we have a system. It's the best system in the world, but everybody knows that it's not enough, right? Like to help the veterans we have best system. They need more help.
Oh,
Whether psychological, maybe emotional, maybe recognition, maybe financial, maybe like our veterans in the United States, they need help, and we're number one in providing benefits. They can go to school, college for free. They can qualify for preferred like mortgage rates, but they have emotional issues that keep them from even asking for it.
yeah. No, I've
You know what I mean? So there are like different levels of help. I'm saying like the real help, I wanted to do something. I didn't want to create another company. I wanted to do something, and I am a paragliding pilot. For those who don't know, you basically, excuse me, I need it.
paragliding. That's extreme sports.
Yeah, you go with that plastic bag over your head. It has little strings attached, and you're sitting in the little bag. It has no fuselage, no engine, nothing. Yeah, like that, exactly. And you hang thousands of feet above the air. And first time I went paragliding, I thought I was going to die. Okay.
I mean, it's a possibility. Come on.
Okay, so listen, I'm working in Ukraine, and basically I told you we have really dark times. But all the employees knew that I'm a skier. My sport was ski jumping, and I love skiing. So they all pitch in. They sent me skiing to a glacier in Austria. I drive up in the middle of the night to that hotel right at the base of the glacier. We're at the end of the road, it's dark. And I walk in and I'm checking in and I'm looking, there is an advertisement for tandem paragliding. I was like, okay. So she gives me the key. I turn around and I'm looking at another advertisement for tandem paragliding. And I'm thinking, well, man, this is not a coincidence. So I take the brochure, I go up in my room, I call the number before doing anything. Hi, can I come flying tomorrow? The lady says, yeah, come 2,000 meters this mountain, 12 o'clock. Okay, bye, see you. I go to sleep. Next day, I wake up, I go up into the mountain. She's like, there is your pilot. This Austrian guy, maybe 60. Austrians that, they live in the mountains, they work hard. He's a big, strong dude. He like picks me up. He's like, hey, dude. It's like, hey, is this your first time? I said, yeah. He's like, mine too. Oh, I was like, oh, that was not a funny joke.
Oh my God.
We go to the end of the mountain, and basically it was a place called Meyerhofen, and Meyerhofen is at, let's say, 600 meters, and skiing starts at 1,200, 1,300 meters. So do I need to translate in feet?
No. I'm in Germany. We use meters, so it's fine.
Okay, good. Okay, cool. So, we're in Meyerhofen. Then I don't need to explain it. We're in Austria in Meyerhofen. You need to take a cable car, go all the way up to the mountain, and you ski on top of the mountain. And we're on top of the mountain. He says, look, normally we fly with skis, but there's no snow in the village, so we're going to have to run. And he points at the cliff, and he says, dude, we're running in that direction. He hooks me up. He said, ready, 3, 2, 1, let's run. We run off the mountain. We take off. Bro, I was a professional skier. I spent a lot of times on the mountain, and then I see this chairlift taking off, and the chairlift is getting smaller and smaller, and I'm like, man, he's gonna kill me. I don't know this dude. He is going to kill me. And then I actually started saying, I said goodbye to my dad. I started saying goodbye to my brother, and I said, Lyubim, stop. That's just freaking out. He will land you. And, you know, after that, it was beautiful. And I knew that I had to learn how to do it myself. And basically, again, same thing. 6 years later, I know, you know, I flew my first commercial tandem season in Austria. But I had this idea, you know, when I saw so many amputees, just to give you a number, last year in Ukraine, there were more than 100,000 amputees.
That's a lot.
And I thought, you know, I am going to do this. I'm going to test this. I'm going to take an amputee and we're going to go flying, because I hope that he will be so scared for his life that he'll forget that he's missing a leg or two.
We'll take an amputee and they'll take him fly. Okay.
Think about it. If you're going off a 300-meter cliff, your subconscious mind knows that you're going to die. And at that moment, you have no other problems. All your problems go away, even if you don't have a leg. And, you know,
hey man, I'm laughing, but that's a great idea. That's actually genius. Like when you're flying, like doesn't matter. Anything, everything else doesn't matter.
So check this out. You know, I know if I'm in Germany or in the United States, I have to get lawyers, I have to form a corporation, I need to get approval, I need to get insurance, I need to go to the Department of Defense and say, hey, look, can I fly an amputee? Can you give me a hero without a leg? Because I want to go run off 300-meter cliff with a plastic bag over our head. Imagine what they would say. It would take, I know in the United States, it would take me years and more than $100,000 to get going, you know, because the compliance and legal fees are really huge. So I'm sitting here on the beach. I live in Turkey, you know, I'm near Antalya. And one thing about Turkey is that there are mountains that go to the sea, to the beach. And one of the most popular things is paragliding. Like, there's so many people come here because you fly over the Mediterranean. It's really an amazing view.
Yeah, I've been to Cappadocia once. It's beautiful.
Oh, Cappadocia. Yeah, but we are on the sea. You know, we're looking at the Mediterranean, and I really thought for a while, and I went to there's this company called King Paragliding, and the guy who runs it, his name is Hamid Sak. He's a Turkish guy. He is he's extremely fit and quick, and he's a really good pilot. I mean, he's young, strong, and he had experience of flying people who had mobility issues without a chair, because one of the things, you know, we need a chair and we fly without a chair. And I said, look, will you fly an amputee from Ukraine? And he said, yeah, sure, man. You know, you don't pay me, just you bring him here, we fly them. So I called a friend of mine who at the time was the governor of a region. And the reason he was a friend of mine was because his father worked for me when I ran the gas stations. Some of those gas stations were managed by his dad, and his dad, he actually, you know, he was like, his wife passed away, the kids are grown out of the house, he has nothing to do. He always lives at the gas stations. It was like complete order, everything was perfect. There was need to fire him, and he lived with those gas stations. And after he passed away, my friend called me and he said, look, listen, I really appreciate you giving this opportunity, because he would have died years ago. And I said, look, he was an awesome employee. So I called him, and, you know, it was before he became a governor. Then, you know, the war starts, he becomes appointed as a governor. And I call and I say, look, this is my idea. I want to take our veterans, I want to take them outside of that, because Ukraine gets bombarded every night, you know. There's like 300 drones, ballistic missiles. It has not stopped for 4 years. Like every night they're hitting Kiev and major cities. It's for real, guys, you know. It's like, it's sick. So I said, let me take them, because they are done, you know. He's missing a leg, he's finished, you know. But just let me take them, bring them to warm beach in Turkey. I have an awesome group of volunteers, the guys who I fly with ride bikes. It's always summer right now. Today I actually started riding a bike again after 15 years. So, I may run out of energy, but it looks like a good topic. So, I have a lot of people who are my network here, and we all spend a lot of time on the beach. And when I brought the first MPT, like in all our logos, this is the actual guy. His
So
name is Balek.
for those who are just
So I think
listening, he's pointing to the logo of his T-shirt, and there's like a soldier-looking silhouette with a.
it's a guy. It's a guy. How's this? Is it better? It's the guy who is this in the middle.
There we go. Yeah.
He is the guy in the middle. He's the guy who is on all our logos. He's the first one who we flew.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy in the red shorts, he's deaf because the Russian drone dropped a hand grenade next to his ear and took off the right side of his head. And one thing that people always ask me, what I learned from the veterans, is that when you see a guy without a leg, you want to help, right? Because you see what's going on. But nobody knows that another guy is deaf. He has like no ear on one side, and he has permanent imbalance in his, the middle ear. It's always noise, and it's really like, they are the combat veterans. So actually, they have some serious issues. But anyways, I thought I'm going to create a place where they're going to come and spend 1 week, 1+1, one veteran plus spouse, doesn't matter who. That way, I don't have to pay for caregivers. It was just a win-win situation. It's true, because I'm counting everything, because this is a mission, and I self-funded it because I wanted to do all the work.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody could ever tell me how much something costs or what somebody needs to go from suicidal to a captain of his soccer team, which our guy actually became this year. He was sitting at home thinking about end of life, and he flew in June, and this April, when we had our opening for the season opening, I took him to my physical therapist, and she saw his leg, and she's like, "Oh, Lyubim, look at his leg." And I'm like, "What?" And she says, like, he can get paralyzed because his muscles, he's always standing on one leg. He's a big guy,
Mm-hmm.
and his muscles are getting smaller, and it's pressing on his sciatic nerve, so he can do one wrong move, and he may become paralyzed. So we need to bring him back for, like, I said, for how long? She says, for a month of physical therapy. And actually, he had to come back. And when he was here rehabbing, I was his driver. I was his, scheduler. I was his 1 month seeing what a veteran needs, and just going into therapy sessions. I don't swim, but I will go hang out at the pool. We had we have an Olympic swimming coach. We have an two-time Olympic cycling coach, and our guy who, again, we pointed at the card, he's missing a leg.
Mm-hmm.
Not only he was swimming, he got on a bike, and we had these, the bike rides. It was super awesome. If you click on the three things, bro,
Mm-hmm.
on those little, this is the first guy who we flew, and that's the picture. We can stay there.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, he lost 10 kilograms, because he came here for 1 month of rehab. He qualified for a new prosthetic leg. Like, if you look at this one, do you see how big the top is? It's a really big top that goes over the leg. And he qualified for a super duper new prosthetic that is like much smaller, and it has a knee. He's missing a knee, and the new one, it has a knee replacement with artificial intelligence, with sensors and everything. So he can pretty much do anything. And that leg was $75,000, and the government fully paid for it because, he was rehabbing here, and he was able to show that it's important to him, that he's going to use it, because he was denied once before.
Why?
But this time I said, look, because, it's a $75,000 prosthetic leg, and if somebody is not ready for whatever reason, they have to go. He went in front of the governmental committee, and second time he was in Alanya, and I said, "Look, dude, you got to push through this thing."
Yeah, but
And
he
he
put.
said he saw them closing the folders, and he said, "Excuse me, I volunteered 10 days after I turned 20 years old, and they sent me to fly drones." He said, "But I felt like I'm hiding behind the civilians, right?" And he said he kept writing for 5 months, transfer me to an assault brigade. He gets transferred to an assault brigade. They are in a fight with Russians. His commander gets shot. He goes down. He's the closest guy to his commander. He said he was like 5 meters away from his commander. He gets hit in the leg, and that was the end of that story.
That's the thing. He gave up his leg basically to the war, like, and they're not even able to pay.
He said, look, if I am lucky, maybe 15 years out of this one leg, but we know that I have 10. So I'm 23 years old, and I think I deserve the, I
Of
think I
course.
deserve to have 10 quality years. And he said, this is Lyubim, I'm sitting, I'm looking, and like I have sweat dripping from like forehead. I'm talking, and I said, I remember you said don't stop. And he said, I just kept going until they opened the folders, they signed, they put the stamp. I talked to him 3 days ago. He's like, man, this is awesome. I have a knee. He said, first it was the same, but now I'm using it. It's really cool. So, that is the result of my work. And just to mention the numbers, I think, as an accountant, I counted what everything costed. 1 month of rehab with flights, with food, with housing, 12 personal physical therapy sessions, 10 swimming sessions with an Olympic coach, like I said, cycling unlimited, and 24-hour concierge service, all that 4,000. And then, it just really, I'm super excited that I could get it to that. And it's just, again, because I have so many volunteers, I do all the work by myself. And I don't think I could make it work in any other place. So we're really fortunate to be here. Yeah, that's our number one. After his rehab for 1 month, he lost 10 kilos and he became a captain of his football team.
Oh yeah.
Shakhtar, Ukrainian team called Shakhtar.
Not
Football
really.
team.
I'm not.
So they're pretty good team. It's called Shakhtar, and they have this amputee. They started an amputee. It's called Stalevi, which is Iron Shakhtar, which are the guys that are, that are amputees, and he looks really lean now and really quick. So this was day one. This was day one after he flew.
It's amazing. How many veterans have you guys helped so far, taking into those?
One guy that I supported, I decided that I have to follow one from the suicidal until I am independent, traveling Europe. And I'm so busy. I'm sorry, man. I cannot call you. I love you, Lyubim, but I cannot call you. So I went not the popular route, just rounding up the numbers. I went to get the result. He's independent. He's traveling Europe by himself. He's the captain of his football team. He is just living a life that he could not imagine. He calls me and he says he got invited to go to Krakow, to that new football stadium. And he said, imagine, man, I was like always watching in my village, sitting in a village in Ukraine, looking in TV, thinking, oh, wow, that would be so, it's like a dream to go into that stadium. And he goes in the Krakow and says, like, man, I was inside of my dream. It was just last week that we got to catch up. So I was inside of my dream. So this is number one. And now I just need to scale because I am as lean as you can get. And I can help a lot of people. I have all those behind. That's the coast. We fly them with paragliders. We take them everywhere. If you click on those little things, there should be, there's the media page. Yeah, go to the media. Click on media right there on the left side. You had it. Okay. So these are all videos that I'm making. All of it. I was there. That was the physical therapy. This is the first bike ride when he got on, and I try to do as many as I can. I don't have the time, but I think they tell the story really well.
That's super cool, man.
So you can watch this. You'll get the. That is what I'm playing. Let's click this one, orange. You see what? Yeah, that's my number one, bro. I took one guy and I made that.
Oh yeah. You
Yeah,
know,
so I know how to do it with many. Like when people says like how many, I said, look, here is the result. That's what I am quality. Bro. I don't know if you noticed that trait, but like I really, for me, quality is important and getting things done the right way. It's the Rain Man in my mind. I cannot do it any other way. Even if I try, he will shoot me. He will just destroy me. I have this like accountant living in there who is always everything has to balance to a penny.
but I mean,
That's the truth.
you're doing God's work. I mean, maybe not God's, but the government's work. They take so much pride and time and money into preparing all of those soldiers into war. But after the war is done, it's like in some ways it's like they don't exist anymore. What are you talking about? They went through so much suffering. Like this guy, for example, he lost his leg for the country, and now like they cannot. He needs to negotiate getting a prosthetic leg back. Like how much was again? $7,500.
75,000.
75,000. Okay, and how
75,000.
much money does the black government got as 3 trillion? Like they do have the money. They do have the money. It's just a matter of priority.
So, I created something different from outside of the
That
government
yeah,
because they're
yeah.
wasteful. We all know they're just wasteful, but nobody works. Look, I don't have a suit because I don't need a suit.
Mhm.
My suit, here is my suit. Here is my costume. That's all I wear 98% of the time. Everybody knows that, yeah, I show everybody I'm one guy. Man, I'm one guy doing this. I'm making a point
Mhm.
that everybody, I can sit on my ask, excuse me, and complain, right? And the government, the people, well, I can do something. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to do something, and I'm just going to keep doing it.
Hell yeah, man.
But, I don't
It's
need anybody. I don't need anybody to. I see the result. I took a guy from a suicidal. I followed him for 1 year. I gave him all the support. He had 2 amputations. They messed up the first time. And this last
what?
year, he had to go through this. Yes, they
How,
didn't cut out enough.
how do you
He got
mess up an
infection.
amputation? It doesn't sound that complicated. Just chop it off.
Oh, if you have 100,000 people, like they're chopping it off,
They don't pay attention
like
anymore. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I will run the math, but they're probably getting close to like 1,000 a day would be a lot. But I don't know. It's a
Yeah.
lot, 100 or more, or 1,000. It just, 100,000 in less than it was in 3 years when he came. So they did not do it right, and he had to go through another one. And one thing, we call him number one. His girlfriend told me, she says, you need to know that when he had the amputation, when he was in the hospital, he's that kind of a person. He said, when we came, he said, look, please don't come back, because really I'm in so much pain. I need to scream, but I cannot do it in front of you. Just go away and don't come back. And she said, like, it was really hard because for weeks we didn't know how he was doing until he called one day and he said, okay, I'm better. You guys can come. So last year he just dropped off. I mean, it was like November, like this time, and then he disappears. And like I message with his girlfriend, say hi. He says hi, like, but direct contact zero. And I'm thinking, like, man, he's got to be going through something difficult, because she explained to me the personality, right? It was the gas. Like I just took that gas. And then I find out, like, when we had an opening here, and I said, look, number one, you can come on all the opening and all the closing, just come here. One thing that I changed the format, first we started with 7 days, And that picture that you pulled up, them standing on the beach, it's number one and his girlfriend. They said, "Can we please have 3 more extra days so we can just lay by the pool?" Because I have videos, bro. I have videos. I would pick them up at breakfast and I would unload them like midnight, late, like it was dark, you know. And we are talking about June 18th. He flew, so it's like the longest day. And we're coming. It's been dark for a long time. I will make the. I am going to sit down and make those videos and add them to the page that you saw. And if you could share it, like you know, I'm trying to tell the story as fast as they can, but I'm only one guy and they cannot tell it fast enough. But you know, they said we were so busy, we are tired from this vacation. You know, we need 3 days just to chill by the pool. So the new format, it's 10 days. They come from Ukraine. It's 10 days. They stay on the beach. It's nonstop. We have such cool volunteers. We take them to the village. They go horseback riding. They went scuba diving this year. They just do like whatever they want to do, they can do it. And then there's 24/7 somebody who spends time with them on the beach. And anybody can come. They just say like, look, I want to watch sunset. I want to see moonrise. I want to stay here overnight. Can we go canoeing to the castle? Okay, let's go canoeing to the castle because we have a castle in our town, and it's like all the time, you know, somebody with them. We have one guy who's a DJ. He brings his table, and we have a we have a beach party. I made one of those videos, you know. It's on there. You got to check it out. So I had this picture in my mind. I took one guy, and they made it happen. And now I need to scale, and that's my next project. You know, my short term is to bring 4 families here for 10 days in Christmas. And I know all 4, you know, it would be, we already know who we want to bring because they're really positive characters, you know, they're really, like, we got lucky with number 1 because number 1 was, okay, you can take this guy. Well, actually, it's not true, bro. I got a double amputee. The first guy who they gave me, he was a double amputee.
Double
He didn't have
amputee.
2 legs. He didn't have 2 legs. It's supposed to be my first guess, right? And then like 1 week, it was not more than 1 week before coming out, he gets scheduled for another surgery.
Ooh.
And then we get number 1. We get this big, strong guy who doesn't care about anything. The end of his 1-month rehab, we are riding to his apartment, and he breaks the pedal of his bike. I mean, he got so strong, he just goes. It was like a 3-minute walk, but the fact he finished, he broke off the pedal. That was good. So strong. Yeah. I'm super excited. You know, it's working. So that's.
Hey man, I mean your passion shines through your words, like for sure. And I'm so happy that I'm so glad that you're taking care of those veterans because they do need care. I've had guests here on the podcast, psychotherapists who are helping those veterans going recover from trauma through psychedelics. This is a new way of treatment. You just give them mushrooms, you guide them, and this helps a lot through trauma. And again, because they do need help. And I mean, you're helping them in a different way. You're just throwing them out of the cliffs, but it does help. It does help.
I scare them to death, man.
You scare them to death.
So they forget, and we're talking about literally forget for that moment. I don't know how long it is. It's different for everyone, but just forget, and you know, then feel cared for this little period of time.
They do feel cared for. It's necessary, and I once again, I think it's amazing what you're doing. So.
Have a community, you know, and it's like you know, when people see it, everybody gravitates because it's like everybody knows that guy stopped the bullet that could have hit me. You, God forbid, somebody's kid. It was going from east to west, and you know what? You're west, and that guy, you know, stopped. Boom, one less bullet that's not gonna make it, thankfully, to the European Union. And I hope you stay peaceful forever, you know.
Yeah.
And I hope that war in Ukraine ends soon. You know, that's one thing that I can hope for. No matter how desperate it looks, you know, we got to really know that all wars stop and
Lyubim,
do our best, you know.
man, yeah, of course. man, thank you so much. I would like to ask you if you have any final remarks, anything else that you'd like to tell the audience.
Just I'll finish with Wings for Heroes.
Mm.
It's not a charity, you know. It's a mission to take care of those who sacrificed everything so we can have this conversation. The way you can support me is when you go to the website, there is a support button, and there are only two things that you can get. One looks like a T-shirt, but it's not a T-shirt. If you go to the main page or to the top, yeah, just so you have on the right side. There should be Is it the full window that you're seeing? Because on the right side too, there is on the main page there is a support button.
Oh, it's not there. Sorry, not showing up, my friend. Oh, there you go. There you go. Support.
Yes, when you hit support us.
Oh, you're selling merch.
So this is not a merch. This is not a hoodie or T-shirt. This is a promise cap because on that logo is the real guy, and that guy is fully independent right now. He is living a life that is an amazing life, and 100 of those, I added $40 to either hoodie or T-shirt, and 100 of those pays for 1 month of one veteran transportation, flights, food, therapy that we talked about, coaching one-on-one, and 24-hour concierge service. And what I also did is that once a quarter, I open up all the bank statements so you can see that all the money where it goes. And I am the only one transparent like that. So if you buy 1 or 100, you know that all that money, plus if needed more, will go to the veterans, because in my consciousness, I could never join that industrial, charity complex that floods the internet with pictures. Oh, look at them, they're suffering. And then they have, hundreds of millions in the bank. They're on these inefficient agencies that spend like 4 times more just on operations than I spend on the whole thing. You know what I mean?
A lot of organizations are
doing-
like that. Yeah, they get like, at least as far as I know, a lot of organizations, half of the money is just for the guys managing the thing.
But half of they showing you, it's like 90+%. It's just insane.
90.
It's all
Okay.
public information. Look, let me ask you this. I told you it's 4,000 for me to bring the guy from Ukraine, transfer through Ukraine back and forth here to Turkey. We have private physical therapy, Olympic coach. When he swims in his own lane. We rent him a lane so nobody bothers him, right? Then we have cycling. Then we have, if he wants to do anything, he get really submerged and he's always with people. He's distracted. We take him to the Turkish village and just all that stuff. It cost me $4,000. How could somebody who gets a veteran inside of their facility? For one, it costs times 4 only for operations, not including the services provided to the veteran. Am I making sense, bro?
Yep.
So like, it's just unbelievable amount of money that is going somewhere. It's like a Mickey Mouse. Everybody knows about him, but nobody saw him. It really is like this, and I cannot join that. I cannot get celebrities, like Lady Gaga gets paid $1.2 million for, for a charity, and then she donates that money back, and the charity gets like 100 grand, and it's public information again, like that. And I am thinking, like, look, they're real people, really. Like, the system has nothing for them. They're trying to survive. Imagine the country trying to survive. They have no system, and that is why it was important to show, look, this is how it's done right. And this is how much it costs, which is a lot from what? They get a prosthetic leg, they sit at home and they drink themselves to death. What? That's not how it's not fair, okay? And I'm trying to balance the scale for everybody, because the scale is just against us. Because there were a lot of promises that were made, when they went to defend their country, and it didn't happen. And I'm not saying like angrily, it's just a fact, and I am balancing that scale for everybody, the whole world. There is a thing in Old Testament. It says if you save one life, you save the whole world. Okay, that what resonates with Lyubim. That is what the meaning of what I do.
All right, man.
This is how important it is to me. So
Let's leave it there. Thank you so much. Thank you for what you do. It was a pleasure getting to know you, man.
thank you for giving me this chance. I really enjoyed it, bro. You gave me a lot of room, and you're the first one who heard the whole story. I wanted you to know this. When we connected
Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. If it's your first time watching the show, make sure to like and subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please rank the show 5 stars. This will ensure that the podcast is recommended to even more people and allow me to keep doing what I love. Check out now the BRUCAST store, Explore store, filled with awesome goodies from hoodies to t-shirts to mugs. We've got you covered. Stay in style with BRUCAST. Embrace the shock. Set the trend. That's number 100. Now it's brew-cast.com/store. Again, that's brew-cast.com/store. Link on the description below. Be a BRUCAST model and get free stuff. We'd love to see how you and your loved ones enjoy BRUCAST. Snap a picture of yourself, your family, your friends, or even your pets wearing BRUCAST merch, or watching an episode of the show, and send it to us and become part of BRUCAST. We'll feature you and your pictures at the end of every episode, just like the ones you're seeing on the screen right now. You can upload your pictures at brew-cast.com/contact or tag us on social media. Alright everyone, it has been a pleasure. Thank you so much and see you next time. Bye bye.